If you've ever watched a basketball game and wondered why certain players always seem to find themselves wide open for jumpers, easy layups, or back-breaking threes, the secret isn't always raw talent or athleticism. It's movement without the ball. This is one of the most valuable, and at the same time, one of the most underrated skills in basketball. It's the art of never standing still, of constantly creating opportunities for yourself and your teammates, even when the ball isn't in your hands.
I'd like to see him get rid of the basketball, but now he gets it back, curls into that three.
In this video, we're going to break down how you can master this part of the game, why it matters so much, and how legends like Stephen Curry, Rip Hamilton, and Reggie Miller built their reputations on it. By the end, you'll not only understand what makes off-ball movement so deadly, but I'll also give you a workout that you can start using today to train these exact skills both on and off the court. So stay locked in until the end, because that workout could completely change how you approach the game. The reality of basketball is that most players only think about what they can do with the ball in their hands. They practice dribble moves, step backs, flashy crossovers, and isolation scoring. But here's the truth. In an actual game, you spend around 80 to 90% of the time without the ball. That means if you only know how to operate when you're touching it, you're making yourself irrelevant for most of the game. Think about Stephen Curry, often called the greatest shooter of all time. Of course, he's an incredible ball handler and scorer, but what separates him isn't just his shooting, it's the fact that he never stops moving.
Largest lead, 19.
Even when Curry passes the ball, you'll see him sprinting around screens, cutting through the lane, or relocating to the corner. His constant activity wears down defenders and bends the defense, creating not just his own shots, but open opportunities for his teammates. That's the power of moving without the ball. At its core, movement without the ball starts with cutting. A good cut isn't just a sprint toward the hoop. It's a calculated move designed to trick your defender and create separation. For example, a V-cut is one of the most basic but effective ways to get open. You engage your defender by stepping into them, making them think you're staying close, and then suddenly push off and explode back out to the perimeter in a V shape. That little fake creates just enough space for you to catch the ball cleanly. Rip Hamilton, one of the great mid-range shooters of the 2000s, built his entire game on this. He would use quick cuts, change directions constantly, and by the fourth quarter, defenders were exhausted from chasing him. Hamilton didn't need to dribble the ball 20 times. He just needed one sharp cut, one clean catch, and his jumper did the rest. Then there are backdoor cuts. If your defender is denying the passing lane too aggressively, instead of fighting them, you make them pay. You fake like you're going to pop out to receive the ball, then quickly plant and cut behind them straight to the basket. If your teammate is paying attention, that's an easy 2 points. Reggie Miller, one of the most lethal shooters of the 90s, was a master at this. Defenders would overplay him on the perimeter, terrified of giving him a three-point look, and he'd backdoor cut right past them for a layup. Those small, simple plays add up over time, and that's how Miller scored thousands of points without needing isolation. Curl cuts are another essential move, especially when coming off screens. Let's say you're running off a pin down, and the defender tries to chase over the top of the screen. Instead of fading out, you curl tight around the screen and head toward the basket, catching the ball on the move. This is something Klay Thompson does beautifully. When you watch him, it seems like he barely dribbles, but in reality, he uses screens, curls, and cuts so efficiently that by the time he catches the ball, he's already in perfect rhythm to shoot or attack. What makes cuts effective isn't just the direction you take, but the way you set them up. If you move lazily or telegraph your cut, the defender won't bite. But if you sell it with your body, use fakes, and explode at the right moment, you become unpredictable, and unpredictable players are impossible to guard. Now, cutting is one thing, but the second big element of off-ball movement is screening. Too often, players think of screens as just something the big men are supposed to do. But if you study the great movers in basketball, you'll notice that guards and wings constantly set screens too. And here's the key. When you set a good screen, you often get just as open as the person you're screening for. Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson use this principle all the time. Curry might set a down screen for Klay, and while the defense is scrambling to chase Thompson, Curry slips the screen and flares out to the arc for an open three. By using the screen, both players create advantages at the same time. Screens like the down screen, also called a pin down, force defenders into tough choices. If they switch, you might create a mismatch. If they chase over, the shooter curls to the basket. If they go under, you flare out for a three. Similarly, flare screens give shooters clean looks from the arc, especially if the defense is packed into the paint. What matters most isn't just setting the screen, it's how you read the defense afterward. If your defender helps too much, you slip and cut to the basket. If they anticipate one direction, you counter the other way. This is why moving without the ball is such a mental game. It's not about running around aimlessly. It's about making defenders wrong no matter what they do. Reading the defense, in fact, is what ties everything together. Think of off-ball movement as a chess match. The players who do it best don't just sprint randomly. They're constantly analyzing defenders, spotting tendencies, and exploiting weaknesses. If your defender is aggressive and jumps passing lanes, you punish them with a backdoor cut. If they sag off, you drift to open space on the arc. If they switch too easily, you recognize the mismatch and call for the ball. Reggie Miller thrived at this. He wasn't the fastest, the strongest, or the most athletic, but he had an incredible sense of timing. He knew when his defender was tired, when they lost focus for a split second, and he struck immediately. That's why he could score 8 points in 9 seconds against the Knicks. It wasn't just shot making, it was knowing exactly how to move at the right moment.
Reggie Miller scoring 8 points in the final 32 seconds.
Another critical element of moving without the ball is varying your speed and direction. Defenders get comfortable if you're predictable, and once they relax, you've lost your advantage. The key is to keep them off balance. Jog for a couple of steps, act like you're slowing down, then suddenly accelerate and change direction. This is something Curry has mastered. He might look like he's casually jogging around the perimeter, making the defense believe he's taking a break. Then, in an instant, he sprints off a screen, and before the defender realizes it, the ball is already in his shooting pocket. That change of pace is devastating, and it doesn't require elite athleticism. It requires focus and timing. Relocation is another weapon that separates great movers from average players. Too many young hoopers make the mistake of passing the ball and then standing still, almost like they're watching the game as a spectator. But the best players know that the play isn't over once the ball leaves their hands. If you pass and immediately relocate, you put pressure back on the defense. Klay Thompson is probably the best modern example of this. He'll pass the ball to Draymond Green, then sprint to the opposite wing or corner, knowing the defense is shifting. When the ball comes back, he's wide open because his defender couldn't keep up. This concept is simple. Never pass and stand. Always find a new spot where you can be a threat. What ties all of these concepts together is constant motion. If you want to be truly dangerous without the ball, you can't stand in one spot for more than a couple of seconds. That doesn't mean you sprint recklessly the entire game. It means you're always purposeful. You might cut hard, jog to reset, then explode again off a screen. Over the course of a game, this style wears defenders down. Rip Hamilton was famous for this. By the fourth quarter, his defenders were dripping with sweat, mentally drained from chasing him through a maze of screens. Meanwhile, Hamilton looked fresh, knocking down jumper after jumper. Constant motion isn't just about getting open, it's about demoralizing your defender. When they realize they can't relax for even a second, that's when they start making mistakes. Now, here's a workout that combines both on-court and off-court training. Screenshot this and adjust it to your liking. At the end of the day, moving without the ball is the great equalizer. You don't have to be the flashiest ball handler, the fastest sprinter, or the highest jumper. You just have to be smart, intentional, and relentless. If you can master cutting, screening, relocating, and constant motion, you'll not only create more scoring chances for yourself, but also open the floor for your teammates. Think about Curry sprinting through multiple screens, or Rip Hamilton running his defender into the ground. Or Reggie Miller striking at just the right moment. These players show that movement itself can be your greatest weapon. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future breakdowns. And let me know in the comments, who do you think is the best player at moving without the ball in basketball history? Drop a comment down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.